Welcome back. So let's get to the paper, starting with this Nigeria newspaper this morning. Of course, it doubles down on the big story from yesterday. Fuji star Kwamwan banned from flying for 6 months. NCA asks AGF IGP to prosecute him for blocking ValueJet flight takeoff. Aviation Minister Keyamo, he's liable. His action reprehensible, akin to a hostage situation. Of course, we've spoken to that sufficiently at the beginning of the program. But there are other issues on the front page of this Nigeria that, we should, act on collectively. And let's look at the bottom of this Nigerian newspaper. Hydrological Agency issues flood alert for 32 states, 832 communities. People reluctant to vacate homes. That's according to SEMA and NEMA. So these are the real issues. It's, of course, an emergency. Eventually, it may become an emergency situation, but in the long term, how many people have that alternative, to just pick up, and vacate their homes for the next 1 month or 6 weeks while the floods last? But then again, lives must be preserved, and that's what is most important. So what are we doing as a government and as a people to ensure that we're prepared for what's coming? It's been raining for the past, 3 days here in Lagos, and I believe, according to reports in the federal capital as well, there have been, a lot of downpour witnessed. So it's evidence of climate change, really, but we must also be very prepared for what is to come, particularly with this flood alert coming through yet again. We hope that we're not going to be seeing a deluge as we have seen a lot of in 2025, of course, speaking to other states of the Federation. But that's it for this Nigeria newspaper this morning.
All right, let's take a look at Leadership Friday, also speaking to the NCAA moving to prosecute K1 after 6-month flight bans. Page 7 reads, a lot of the other explainers, of course, have been touched on already, but perhaps you might want to find out more details right there on the front page. And you see the picture, by the way, of Captain Oluranti Ogoyi, ValueJet pilot, who stopped K1. So it was a woman, actually, the pilot. I think the co-pilot as well. But the story that will also get your attention is this one from the governor of Niger State, saying negotiations with bandits in other states causing problem in Niger. It's on page 37. Well, different ways to look at this, but again, we're back at this point. But that's it for the Leadership Friday.
All right, Nigerian News Direct is our next paper, and this is something that should concern all of us because it borders on many things: the economy, productivity, national security. So you see boldly there, over 16,000 telecom sites at risk of outage as petrol workers disrupt diesel supply. So they have their site where base station, I don't know what the name is called, but you can see where they have all these masks, seeing each other at different lines. The technical term I've forgotten now. So basically they have diesel supply to those places where, so that you and I can make calls and do whatever it is we do across the telecom sector. And save about 16,000, I don't know the exact location. This is not good. I don't know what's going on with the petroleum sector, but you can get a full read of that. But what is important is the fact that everybody has to be concerned, because anything that affects telecom will affect businesses, and that affects productivity, it affects government revenue, it affects our mobility as a people. But more importantly, it affects national security, because the police will need this network, the army will need, all of us will need emergency situation, health, and all of that. So whatever has been the issue, please, should be resolved, because they even pay a lot of money. When they take, I remember when we were speaking to the gentleman who is the head of their sector, he said when they take diesel to their location, the site, they pay. Transportation, you start police on one hand, or you start this, what we call agberos, forgive me, you know, the area boys.
No,
and then
Agber is not derogatory, actually.
Oh, really? Sorry.
It's actually, it means someone who helps to bring in passengers.
Okay, for those of us who are not from the West, it sounds, you know. Anyway, area boys. Then they also pay, I think, is it effluent charge? The smoke that comes out of their generator, they pay for that. So there are a lot of things these guys pay for, which is why they were asking for reflective tariff to be able to survive the economy. So let's not add this to their problem. So whatever it is that is being done in terms of the sector supplying them diesel to power their, is it base station or whatever name it is called, the site now, should be done as quickly as possible so we don't have multi-layer issues in the areas that are affected. But you can get the full detail inside the new Nigerian News Direct newspaper.
Well, the bigger question is, have services matched the increase in tariff?
No. Well, I'm looking for a problem this morning.
All right, let's go to New Telegraph newspaper this morning. So from what we're seeing, there are bigger issues in the aviation sector beyond the drama that played out the last 48 hours. We'll take a look at this. Aviation unions begin total shutdown of sector on Monday. Issue notice to airlines. And there are a few insights there. Ask NAMA, I believe that's the Nigeria Airspace Management Agency, NAMA workers to stop services to carriers. Poor infrastructure costs Nigeria $3.5 billion. Domestic passenger fell in 2024. That's ascribed to Mr. Rewani of financial derivatives. And there's more. Says states obsessed with airlines, airports, only 4 aerodromes viable. Of course, these are the real issues in the aviation sector. But let's leave it there for New Telegraph.
And finally, show you how the Vanguard is reporting the big stories. You see heavy floods to hit 198 local governments in 31 states, FG1s. More than 832 communities at risk. You may be in one of those communities, by the way, but you'll never know if you don't find out. Over 100 major transportation routes face possible disruptions. Lagos government mulls humanitarian intervention in affected communities. And see Roads Vival slams government over victims' eviction order. A lot in the mix. It's on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper. And just to give you an insight into the next conversation we'll be having, you see, WAEC apologizes over technical glitches in WASE 2025 results. So that result bit is the big conversation that we have for you next on the show. That's it with the front pages this morning. That's how they report the big stories.